Hey guys, ladies and gents and all them things. I was just thinking about you. No, just kidding. Welcome to Wait a Minute. My videos, my thoughts, and I'm sharing them with you people. What are you calling you people? You people. Sorry, a little distracted there because my dad was talking to me he was in the yard saying something to me and waving, so I was trying to figure out what he was saying. I don't know. Yeah, I was thinking about peace and how to find it, how to keep it, how to spread it, and I can't figure it out. I know that I have peace. I know that peace is in my life, and it doesn't make sense. So I believe that that's the peace of God, because the Bible talks about passes all understanding, and I'm comforted, I'm comfortable, even in the midst of the chaos, and I think that's a testament to my faith. But to have peace and to have calm, I mean, there's also love, and there's also I don't know what I'm trying to say. There's I can accept you, you should accept me, we'll accept each other, we'll work through things. I was just talking to somebody about how denominations and churches are so divided, and so it is a disunity that I don't think should be there. I'm not crazy about denominations as a whole, but we were talking about it, and we were talking about how most of your major denominations, a lot of them, if you go back far enough, they were one church, and then they broke off, and then they broke off, and they broke off. Now, I get there's fundamental truths in denominations that it has to be that, or it's not godly, and it's not of God, and it's not acceptable. Okay, I get that. There's some churches that have gone way off the rails. I get that. But what I'm talking about is basic Bible believing, generally normal churches, and I'm speaking churches as in denominations, not churches as in the church that all of us are part of if we're Christians. But your individual denomination or church, my individual denomination or church, although I'm not really any denomination, but hey, they started together and then they start separating. And I think that there would be a whole lot less denominations, a lot fewer of them, if people were more willing to work through things. A marriage. If the marriage is right, and what I mean by that is if it starts out with a good foundation, then whatever disagreements the two of you have through the whole marriage, whatever disagreements you have, barring physical abuse and infidelity, okay, you can work through all those things, and some people work through the other two. You can work through these things. If you treated your churches like you treat your, well, actually a lot of people don't. I sort of say it like you treat your marriage, but a lot of people think that marriages are disposable too. A lot of people go church shopping almost as much as they go to the grocery store. It's kind of ridiculous, actually. But it's the same, and a lot of people are divorcing and remarrying 3 or 4 or 5, 6, 7 times. My aunt was married, I think, 7 times, twice to the same guy. Weird. Anyway, it seemed weird at the time. It seems less weird now because the world is crazy. But if you look at marriage like it's forever, which it should be. If you look at marriage like it's forever, and you realize that all these things that we got going, all that stuff that I don't like that color. I don't like that she snores. I don't like that he makes a mess. I don't like that the toilet seat's left up. I don't like that it has to be down. There's a lot of things that we nitpick to death in our marriages that believe it or not, can be a major source of divorce. There's a lot of people that have a cow because something as simple as that was a big deal. And a bunch of those things get together and make a bigger thing, and pretty soon you're getting a divorce over who put out the dog, or why didn't you put out the dog? Why didn't you put out the dog? Well, the dog pooped. Well, you wouldn't have done that if you'd put him out. Everybody wants to blame somebody. So there's that. If we look at our churches like we look at our marriages, like we should look at our marriages, we'd realize that you can work through almost anything. Now, barring like somebody in a church decides they want to worship Satan or something, obviously they got to break off or whatever. But in general, denominations that break off and start their own denomination have been over things that they could have worked through if they'd have wanted to keep their church together, if they'd have wanted to keep the marriage going. They could have, but they didn't. So anyway, my point was that a lot of people just throw out things because they got little nitpicky things that are going on, and they don't want those things going on, so they say, I'm done. And they go on and they start with something else. You go on and you find another wife or another husband or whatever. Or in the case of churches, you just go out and church shop for a while till you find another church. And usually you go find one that tickles your ears. And that's where I want to go, because that church that tickles my ears, I feel so much better because they don't tell me that this and this and this is wrong. So I go there because all they do is tell me how right I am. It's the same way, and it's going to be touchy for a second. It's the same way we are with our government. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm dissatisfied or I don't know the word, but I don't like the way things are going in our country. And I'm not talking about one party or another. I'm not talking about one person or another. I'm talking about in general, our government is a mess. And there's nothing we can do about it, it looks like, because the people who are in charge of changing government are the people in government, and they don't want it to change. So it's a big mess. But if we would treat our country the way we should treat our churches, the way we should treat our marriages, we'd realize, what? We should be together. All of us should be together. And why is it that we disown certain segments of people because they don't agree with us? Why can't we reason together? Why can't we just talk? And I'm not talking about huge talk. Like, I'm obviously not going to go to the White House and talk to the president, because that's, basically impossible for a regular person to do. But what I could do is I could talk to people around me that have differing opinions, and we can talk and reason together. Reasoning together is the main thing. It's not the talking, because a lot of people talk about politics or whatever else they disagree on, and they still disagree when they're done talking. Well, why waste the time? If I'm not going to convince you of anything, you're not going to convince me of anything, why are we arguing? We know that we're not going to change, and the other person knows they're not going to change, so why? It's a waste of time, and it's a huge source of disunity in our country, is that people can't agree on anything. And I think that's a huge problem. I think it's something that happens in our country, in our world, and just it's a huge disunity is a huge problem. If we don't have unity, we've got nothing. Nothing. We're supposed to work together. We're supposed to, if you gotta butt heads a little bit and talk things through, then do that. I'm not talking about fighting. I'm not talking about disowning people. I'm talking about, if I disagree with you and I say I disagree with you, then we can talk about it. And if you say something that makes sense, then I'll bend toward what you feel. And if I say something that makes sense, you bend to what I feel. Instead, we get all prideful and like, I ain't changing nothing. I'm right, you're wrong. I'm big, you're little. I'm smart, you're stupid. That's not the way we're supposed to live our lives. I'm not saying that we should compromise on everything. Murder's murder. Obviously, I'm not going to let somebody say, well, you should murder this person. Well, I won't murder him. I'll just shoot him in both legs. That kind of compromise, not acceptable. But there's a lot of things we could compromise on. A lot of things in our government and our everyday social behavior, anything to do with COVID. All of these things can be compromised, and I don't mean compromise in a bad way. You can compromise with somebody about what they're thinking. Somebody just told me today the reason why curfews exist, and I didn't know. But what they said was logical, and I thought that was great. Well, anyway, think about this stuff, and maybe we'll talk about it some more. But I gotta go. Love you guys. Bye.